have this amazing opportunity in front of us to be able to solve all of the challenges. But we can only do so when all of us participate in making the world more fair and a prosperous place for everyone. That's why B1G1 can bring like a mixture of some local projects that could be available for certain businesses, right? Like they might find that in B1G1 and give. But in a greater scheme of things, we want the businesses to also do a little bit of global giving and global impact and to experience that they are part of this big web of things.
What is up, Impact Heroes? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Rick Ornelas. Thank you for spending some time with us today because we know time's a valuable resource and we're going to make it worth your while. I appreciate each and every one of you, not just for listening, but for who you are. I know you're sparking change to make the world a better place every day, and I am humbled and grateful for your efforts. It takes all of us doing our part to spread positive change, and that's what this show is all about. Motivating you with stories of struggle, courage, and hope to empower you to make a difference in your life and the lives of others.
In case you missed it.
For decades of my life, I had this story of I don't know what I'm passionate about. And because I had that story, the guidance that my parents gave was, okay, just keep getting educated, keep going through school to keep the doors open. So that's what I did. I have a degree in mechanical engineering, which is a bit of a 360 from what I currently do now, which is business and mindset coaching. When I had kids, it was the light bulb moment of like, okay, I don't know what I'm passionate about, but I'm going to figure it out, because I didn't want to sit there and tell my kids, go follow your heart, do what you love, find what you're passionate about. And
Available everywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Welcome back, Impact Heroes. Today we have the pleasure of speaking to our latest iSpark Jane social impact hero, and she is a special one who radiates joy as she makes a difference. Our guest today has always been deeply concerned about the inequalities and other challenges that existed in the world and is on a mission to change the way business philanthropy is done. That's right up our alley. She's honest, driven, passionate, and she's endeavored to create real win-win connections across all areas. She's worn many hats, including best-selling author, 2 times TEDx speaker, teacher, translator, farmer, and entrepreneur, all while being a mother of 2. She has a unique approach to business and giving, which has earned her numerous accolades, including the Sustainable Business Award and a finalist position for the Inspired Leadership Award. She's just an all-around great human being who wants to help you create tangible, real impacts in our world every single day while building and growing a standout business. So please welcome the authentic, bold, passionate, and amazing founder and CEO of B1G1, Masami Sato. Masami, welcome to the iSpark Change podcast.
Thank you, Rick. Great to be here.
Yes, yeah, it's fantastic. So I know we've had this interview a long time coming, and I was really excited when I was researching your background and when we found you, or someone from my team found you, because what we're working on is so aligned, and what you've created with B1G1 and what we're working on with iSpark Change. So I'm excited to dive into your background and story. So before we get started, I have one question to ask, because we see you as someone who is spreading positive change, someone whose actions have an impact on the world and positive effect on humanity, and someone we call a social impact hero. So my question to you is, do you see yourself as a hero?
Yeah. Well, like I didn't know that question was coming. I actually don't see myself as the hero, but I see so many heroes in every little moment that we get engaged in. And I think I'm actually a person who is lucky to witness all the amazing acts of heroes around the world. So I guess like I'm a beneficiary of this world full of heroes.
Okay, well, a very humble answer. We'll go with that. Hopefully we'll convince you by the time the show is done, because it's an acronym by our standards. So I want to dive into how because obviously by our definition, you're doing heroic work, right? With B1G1, and you've done a lot, like I said, from farmer and translator and everything. So where did the idea Since that's what you've been doing today for the past many years. So where did that idea come
Mm,
from, and how did you get started?
mm, mm. Well, I think when I got started on my own journey, I never imagined that one day I would be running an organization like this,
Mhm.
and like at the global level, because I felt like growing up, I felt very small and powerless in the grand scheme of lots of things happening, right? And here's this little Japanese girl who didn't speak English, so and felt afraid of communicating and connecting with the world around me. I was very shy. So for me, I think that why it all came about was going through the journey of exploration because I was curious, right? Like about what was happening. And I became global backpacker, traveling around the world and connecting with people with all different backgrounds for the first time. And eventually, then when I started to see these like huge inequality that existed in our world or massive challenges we were facing, like I didn't know how to solve that problem. But there was a moment when I decided to become an entrepreneur and start my business, which was when I gave birth to my child, my first child. And at that time, I felt that even though I felt small and powerless, that when I saw street kids in so many different countries I visited as a young backpacker, I felt that I had to do something because if my child happened to be born in different circumstance, then if the world and said that the problems are too big, we are all small, we can't do anything, then what would happen to my child, right? Like, so that's when I became a business. But as an entrepreneur and growing, starting and growing my own enterprise, right? I wanted to make a difference. And that's why I started my business. But on a day-to-day basis, I didn't have a time. I didn't have a lot of money because we are putting all the money back into business, right? Like,
Yeah.
so with that one day, this simple idea came to me. And at that time, I was running a food company and producing packaged frozen organic meals to health food stores or independent supermarkets. So
Mhm.
at that time, this like what if idea came to me. And then I thought, what if instead of doing something big, in the future, distant future, saying one day when we become successful, we're gonna set up our foundation and set up a commercial kitchen to feed people, thousands or tens of thousands of people. What if we just said every meal we sell, we would just give small proceed to help a child to have a one meal. And
Mhm.
so that kind of like transformed my perspective about what my business could do. Then
Yeah.
several months later, after implementing that kind of power of small concept into my own company, I also had another what if moment. And then I thought, what if instead of doing it alone, we worked on creating the mechanism to help all the small to medium sized businesses like us to implement this form of small impact in everything they did. And
Mhm.
that led to the formation of B1G1 as an initiative. So we sold our business, like my company in Australia at that time, and moved to Singapore to start this as a global initiative since 2007.
And it's a fantastic story because it's and it really resonates with what we're creating because I felt as you did that I'm too small to make a difference, that I'm just one person. How can I make a difference? And what you're doing allows anyone to make a difference. I mean, I believe that everyone can make a difference every day, right? Even smiling at a stranger can make a difference in their lives.
Mm, mm,
What you're doing is truly having a global impact and allowing any business, right, small, to make that difference. So when you started, what was the did people grab onto the idea right away, or was it very challenging to get buy-in?
mixed. I have a mixed response to that question
Okay.
because in today's world, right, it seems like all the businesses, or at least many businesses, are talking about social responsibility, social impact, sustainability, right? Like,
Yeah.
so there's like a bit of a trend there. But in 2007, nobody was talking about that.
No, no,
So
not at
here,
all. Yeah. Yeah,
right? So
exactly. Yeah, very true. Very true. Yes.
so here's this idea. which encourage business to give away what they have to make, right? Like for themselves, which is money, and
Mhm.
and then to do something good, but it may or may not benefit you, like at
Mhm.
all, right? Like so, in that moment, like at that time, there were people who still looked at B1G1's idea and said, "Oh, I so love this. I want to be part of this." Right? Like so, how we did that in the beginning was to appeal to human goodness
Mhm.
rather than like there's the key advantage for the business proposition, right? Like
Yeah.
we're saying to business owners, like we understand that you are passionate about something. Like that's why you started the business because business is not easy. So business people start business not to just to make money, right? Like some people might do just to make money, but lots of people start their own businesses because they care about something.
Yeah.
They resonate with something, like they want to solve a problem or so. When we talk to that human intent and desire, and then we say to them, like, we understand you care about your children, you care about your community, you care about our world. So here is the way to make your business more meaningful on a day-to-day basis, right? And to
Mhm.
have a bigger mission. Then even at that time, when there was no talk about the social responsibility, there were still people who said, I believe in this. I want to be
Mhm.
part of this bigger mission. So we attracted the initial supporters in that way. And then over the years, we got better at building systems, like the mechanism to really like allow businesses to link their day-to-day actions through API to like a highly impactful project. And
Mhm.
we established the way to select the type of project that are doing really great things, but break them down into a micro unit. So even with just a few cents, you can create a tangible impact, right? And measure it and track it. So I think over the years, we started to have a more better kind of value proposition as
Mhm.
women, better
Yeah.
system, better, and now like young people are looking for companies to buy from or even work for that have a stronger sense of mission. So
Yes.
today, like we have a kind of greater pitch to appeal
Mhm.
to businesses at all sort of thinking. But
Yeah.
yeah, like interesting question about the beginning actually.
Yeah, it makes sense because today people are more ripe to hear what you have to say. Their ears are more in tuned to the
Mm,
message
mm,
because, and I, from what I've researched, is that it was really amplified after the pandemic, that social responsibility, it was coming for a few years before that, but it really
mm,
became amplified after the pandemic about
mm.
social responsibility, the importance for every business.
Right.
So let's go back to the beginning where you said you were able to find the people that were interested in making a
Mm,
difference, appealing to their human
mm.
decency. How did you find them? How did you find them?
So I think we did it a little bit sneakily, right? Like, so for example, kind of me and my partner, Paul, we are both basically speakers. Like, I wasn't at the beginning, but I had a story to tell.
Hmm.
So we go to conferences or events where ordinary business people hang around. So accountants gathering to learn about what accountants learn, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
And to
yeah,
improve
sure.
their business. So we got invited to speak at the different networking sessions, event, and people are generally open to interesting stories and or meaningful business content, right? So they
Hmm.
will be hanging around. So we turn up and we start telling our story in different ways, right? Then actually people who weren't looking for anything like this at all, but they heard about this story about how their business can be totally unique and impactful on the day to day. And
Hmm.
also this vision of the power of small appeal to lots of people because at the personal level, everybody cares about something, but we don't know what to do. Like we feel like what's happening is overwhelming. So
Hmm.
when they identify that they could be doing small things and that can be contributing toward a bigger change, then inviting the people to be part of that. Like there were always people who jumped at that kind of invitation to join in the movement. And that's what you are doing as well, right, Rick?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that like just getting out there and connecting with seemingly ordinary business people.
Hmm.
That was a kind of like our initial tactic.
I love how you were doing it, and I've done some of the same. How were you able to okay, so they show an interest. right? They show an interest. You speak. Let's say you're speaking to accountants. You're speaking to a group of accountants. They show an interest. Then how did you engage them in that mission?
So today, like we talk about the things like membership economy. So a lot of tech businesses today is like on subscription model, right? Like so everybody pays a little bit as a kind of like a subscription or a membership.
Yep.
But then there's a community. Like if you have a strong community and network element, then it will be like a membership, right? Like so when we started the B1G1, even though it could be seen as a charitable initiative, right? We were very clear that this has to be done as a sustainable business. Like even though it's a social initiative, so we are a social enterprise, but we wanted to have a business mindset in running our program. So we had the membership model from day one, and they asked the people to contribute toward the membership. But what that membership allowed us to do is to use the resources to build the system, build the platform, build the collateral value proposition, marketing asset. So we invested that into the B1G1 initiative, right? So then when businesses then have a B1G1 membership account, then they choose the impact, like 1 cent for life-saving water for one day, or like in Africa, or 20 cents for education for a child in South America for one day. Or so when they are giving and making an impact, 100% goes to the project, and we don't take any percentage. Like it's actually like a fully transparent. So we created the model, and so when we were connecting with businesses that were interested, initial proposition is like, okay, here's a membership model. If you resonate and believe in what we believe in, we want you to become a member first, right? Like then they would join as a member. Then from there on, they would use our platform, talk with us, and implement the impact that they want to implement in the business. But knowing that 100% goes to the project. So we always had an invitation, like it's not just inspiring people with the idea, right? Because if you inspire somebody with the idea and they get inspired, but they go back into the busy day to day, then they wouldn't do anything and nothing changed.
You've lost the emotion.
Yeah. So we had to catch people at that time. They go like, that's great. I want to do this. I want to do something. Then we get them through the door. And then when they become part of our initiative, of course, like although we provide them platform or we provide them mechanism, but we also know that one of the appealing element is the community. No, because when people belong, and then if they were kind of connected with or surrounded by or immersed in the environment of people who are kind of operating at the same frequency, then that encourages us to be better version of us. So just like gym membership is not useful if it was access to just the equipment alone, but you need to have a kind of like a people around you who go to gyms and encourage you to go to the gym. So in B1G1, it's really about creating the community of business owners, business people who act like who believe in that mission. So through an occasional events, networking, or like an online event, or even conferences, people had the exposure to the inspiration of what they could be doing as businesses for good. And then with that platform, they could take actual action.
Yeah, so you're fostering that community, which is going to increase the engagement and then increase the interest of others, stimulate interest of others when they see that community.
Right.
So it's all the same things that we're working on, just in the early stages, probably where you were in 07 or 08 or 09. How about the other side of making that connection? So if someone said, oh, yes, I want to be a member, I want a membership, I want to be a part of the community, and then I want my dollars to be earmarked towards Africa or Asia, or how about the other side about building those relationships and being able to transfer the good that they're doing, right? And the money.
Yeah. So we started also with that. We started with initial connections that came through people's introduction. about like, oh, I know this really awesome charity organizations that are doing this work, right? Then we then established over the years the way to set the right criteria and assess these organizations that come to us. So nowadays, like, yes, we still get introductions to new organizations, but we also sometimes people will just find us, right, and
Mhm.
apply. So this program is open to any charity organizations that meet the benchmark and the criteria, which is like publicly disclosed on the separate sister organization website. And but then it's actually a bit tricky for organizations to pass that criteria and get approved. So it's not like we are focused on just getting as many charities around the world possible to be part of this platform, but
Mhm.
we're looking for specific type of charities that have a track record and a methodology to be able to specify the project impact with like a cost, like proper costing and financial management around it. So we would usually always end up with fewer number of causes that we can ultimately work with. But once they join our program, then we work with them really long term. So many of the causes that we have in B1G1 have been part of what we are doing for many years.
Yes.
And then we can then gradually see also the impact and the development, right? And then at periodic basis, like we might host a study tour and take a small group of members, B1G1 business members, and they could also sometimes consider to bring their employees, team members, right, like on these trips, and
Mhm.
then to be able to actually see the real impact on the ground as well.
Yeah.
So
And
we
participate?
create it. Yeah,
Yeah.
participate as in, yeah, like we will visit and we call it the study tours, because it's
Mhm.
not like necessarily like a charity tours where you go and then you get asked to donate how much, or you
Yeah.
have to raise lots of money to go on this tour.
Yeah.
But it's like a group of members going as learners because we go and study what's happening on the ground. And
Yeah.
then that content and the learning gets shared with the rest of the business community, right? Because not everybody can take that time to go and visit the project in another country. So yeah, so we engage members in the learning experience where possible. And then to build both, we need to grow the business community so that we can also grow the causes community as well. But it
Oh,
needs
yeah.
to go in the right balance.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just going to say. There has to be, because that way, well, in the simplest way, you're having the biggest impact. You're having the greatest
Mm.
impact. But from a business perspective, is then you're able to support the needs on both sides. So you're able to support, to have a variety of options for the members on the business side, and then to have a number of charities that you're supporting on the other side. So is there one area or one country that you see
Mm.
that people are driven to support the most? I mean, do people want to do something more local or
Mm.
more global?
I think it's both. I guess I mean like the ultimate purpose of people joining our initiative is not because they want to give to local charity as a primary focus. Because if that's the case, I think one of the really most meaningful way to do local support is to actually engage with local charity that you can directly connect with and might volunteer with them or go and do pro bono work with them or meaningful way. And we don't like B1G1 doesn't exist to like specifically make those things happen, right? Like, so that would be something that we still encourage our members to do themselves. Like, but B1G1 exists in more of a global aspect because it's hard for businesses to realize that they have a place in this big world.
Yeah.
And like today, every business benefits from global commerce, right? Like even if you don't seem to be a big business, but you are surrounded by all this equipment or resources or even power supply or everything is result of global commerce that we are benefiting. So, and also if we cannot solve bigger issues like extreme poverty issues in certain parts of the world or environmental destruction in the ocean or like, so in the bigger scale of issues, it's hard for us to know what we can do. But then if we are not doing this collectively together, we cannot solve these issues, which means then sustainability of our individual businesses or even the future of our own children is
Hmm.
affected by what's happening in the world. Climate change, the conflict. If we look at the reasons why these things are happening, is that we actually can be and need to be working on certain things such as uplifting people who are in extreme poverty today, because if they are in poverty today, they don't have an ability to really think about the environment around them. Like they are surviving, their kids
Yeah.
don't have opportunity, so they don't appreciate the importance of environmental issues, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I think we need to uplift everyone on this journey so that we can leverage on the technology today. We can leverage on the connection that we have, like information, distribution of information. So we
Hmm.
have this amazing opportunity right in front of us to be able to solve all of the challenges. But we can only do so when all of us participate in making the world more fair and like a prosperous place for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. We all have
Yeah,
to do
so
our part.
yeah, so that's why B1G1 can bring like a mixture of, yes, like there are some local projects that could be available for certain businesses, right? Like they might find that in B1G1 and give. But in a greater scheme of things, we want the businesses to also do a little bit of global giving and global impact and to experience that they are part of this big web of things
Yeah.
surrounding all of us.
Yeah, that's a fantastic way to look at it, because some of the things you described, right? The availability of information and global commerce and everything, those have all helped to make the world smaller in many ways. Connectivity, right? I'm
Mm,
in the US, you're in Tokyo at the time of this interview, right? So all those things have
mm,
combined to make the world smaller.
yeah.
So, and at the same time, some of the issues that are happening in the world, like extreme poverty, for example, that feels so far away. That feels so
Mm,
that doesn't feel close, right? That doesn't feel like it's part of the small world. It feels, oh, that's on the other side of the planet, so to speak. So by connecting these individuals and allowing them to see the fruits of their efforts, and you're making it smaller in their mind, which makes it easier to be a part of it. So yeah, that's
mm.
fantastic. That is a beautiful approach to take and everything. Wow. Yeah, that's wonderful. You're you've made a great model and a great model for how to do it the right way, in my opinion. And the success you've had exemplifies that. So
Well, like I feel like we are just very scratching the surface, right? Like
yeah.
and it took a long time, like to get here. But what I'm also looking forward to moving on from here is the opportunity in front of us that we could actually achieve so much more faster, so reach so much more people. But the fundamental part of what makes this work so exciting is the power of small, that we believe in the power of small to medium sized businesses.
Hmm.
Because now, if we give them the power, then they will make the right decision for the humanity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's true. So speaking of small, the power of small, one question that we always ask on this program, Masami, is about spark moments. And these are moments in our life where our actions or the actions of another provide that initial spark, which creates a ripple effect that goes far and wide.
Mm.
So I could say that anytime you gave a lecture, that was a spark moment, because it led to people to join B1G1 and
Mm.
everything. So share an example of a spark moment, a story that comes to mind for you of how you impacted someone, or maybe someone impacted you, that was that spark moment that made a big difference down the road.
Mm. I have so many spark moments because I only exist here because of the people who inspire me. But in particular, recently we had this story of a lady called Irene in a country called Burundi, and then what happened to Irene is like really amazing because she couldn't read or write, right? Like, and she was in poverty, but then she got a little loan to buy mice. And then what happened was initially she bought mice to feed her family, right? Like, because there's no other form of protein available for her. But then from there, she bred the mice and bought rabbit. And then she bred the rabbit and then bought some chickens. And then with the eggs, she started to bake cakes and started to sell at the market. And all this transformation is happening under this amazing organization called the Five Talents, which is B1G1 project. And then, so with little help along the way, she became an amazing entrepreneur, right? And now, like, she's a model example in the community, and she employs local women. And then she has a goat for the milk. And so, I mean, like, this is a spark moment, right? Because initially it was her joining in the saving group, and then got a little bit of English, not English, but the writing and the numeracy support. Like, so she learned, right? Like, so she could communicate, and then became this business owner. So, and that is a part of tens of thousands of women like her in the country or in Africa that are transforming the community, and they are running these programs themselves. So if we look at this ripple effect of just this little help, little loan for buying mice in the beginning, and how that rippled through the community and inspired many other women, is amazing, right? Like, so I think that it says a lot about this spark. Initial spark takes little, but when you share that spark with others, you never know what the
Yeah.
ripple effect can do.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know. That's exactly what I say, is you never know what that impact will be. And so only time is the determining factor in how far it can go. And I've done about 150 interviews on this program, and I've had everyone has shared a spark moment, and they're all amazing like that in what you share, that there's always a ripple effect. And that's just not even a fraction of a percentage of those that happen around the world. And so by capturing those and sharing those, we hope to amplify them and create more spark moments, people, more ideas for spark moments. So where can our audience learn more about the work you're doing and participate in B1G1?
So first of all, you can find me on LinkedIn. And I like engaging with other people in LinkedIn. But the B1G1 initiative can be found on b1g1.com, right? Like, so you could search for B1G1 or B1G1, or then it will come up.
Okay, well, yeah, it's very easy. It's just the letter B, the number one, letter G, number one, and we'll make sure that's in the show notes for everybody to connect with you. So one final question here, Masami, because we value your thoughts and opinions as a social impact hero. I mean, probably a lot more than many others we've had on the show, because as I said, you've created a great model. So our goal at iSpark Change is to positively impact 1 billion people within 5 years of launching our upcoming social impact social media platform. So we want to have that be a place for a community, a place for people to connect, a place for people to support others and inspire and do a lot of things that you're doing. So we know we can't do that alone. We know we need the help of impactful leaders to show others the way, because many of them feel, as I once did and you once did, that they're too small to make a difference. So I value your thoughts and opinions as a social impact hero. So I want you to peer down the road into the future for iSpark Change and tell me, what can the world become if everyone starts believing that they are big enough to make a difference?
I think if all of us get included in the dialogue of positive change, because in today's world, yes, like, there's so much going on, but sometimes, like, our effort and our intent doesn't get guided to the kind of like a positive outcome, right, in the most efficient, effective way. So if everybody realize that we can all be different, like, we don't need to justify who is right or wrong, but we can all be different, but we can all take a part in the small good we can create every day. And that kind of makes us all together. Then the world, like, with all the big problems, is going to be amazing, abundant place for the generations to come. So that's the world we can look forward to. And also we can look forward to the fact that our children and grandchildren can enjoy the prosperity and the unique, diverse place and the beautiful place that the world is.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing. What a beautiful answer. And I think that world will happen with the work that you're doing and myself and many others. So thank you, Masami, for sharing your time today and your heart and wisdom with our audience. You came in and you over-delivered as I expected you would. And your desire to be impactful is evident. You're filled with passion, humility, and you lead with a heart of service and gratitude, which tells me you will continue to have success in all facets of life, especially with B1G1. And this is only the beginning of your time as a social impact hero.
Thank you, Rick. Pleasure to be here.
Okay, Impact Heroes, it's the stories that connect us all, and we loved hearing Masami's today. Masami Sato, you're not only an inspiring and amazing human being, you truly are an iSpark Change social impact hero. We'll see you all next time.
Do you want Rick to speak at your event? Here's what others have to say.
Did not know his story, and it was so inspirational, and his presence on stage, his authenticity was just incredible.
Performance made me feel some type of way. My name is Craig Siegel.
If you're looking for a speaker for your next event, hire Rick. I promise you this, you will not be disappointed.
Visit rickcornelis.com to book him today.
Remember, Impact Heroes, every positive action can be a spark moment that has a ripple effect that spreads far beyond the initial act. So go out there and spark change. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode, then please smash that 5-star rating on iTunes or Spotify and leave a review. We value your comments and we want to hear from you in the community. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and we'll see you next week on the iSpark Change podcast.